Okay, we're going to do a patch pocket with a flap. So the first thing you want to do is serge, finish the seam of the pocket. It's going to have 2 notches on the side. The pattern itself will say fold line. So we're going to do a little 1/4 inch notch. You want to fold right sides together and then stitch at a 1/2 inch seam allowance or whatever your pattern tell you. I have some heavy thread on it here now for top stitching. Then I want to continue to stitch all the way around my entire pocket. So I'll walk this down, leave my needle down and check and turn and see if I'm back at my 1/2 inch, and I am. And then I'll continue. I'll walk down again and make sure I'm at that place. And if I leave my needle down and turn and I'm over too much, then I can turn it back and I can take my needle back up and move it so I'll stay at my right place. So don't just go there. If it go past, then you just leave it anyway. So then I'll continue back up to the top and then I'll back stitch. So then I want to cut the threads. Always cut your thread while you're sewing. And if you're using a heavy top stitching thread, I have a fine thread in the bobbin and I have a heavy thread in the top that match. Because on your denim and for top stitching, you use a thicker thread and you'll get it pops more. You get that little decorative finish. So if I take my finger like this and stick it all the way up in that corner and push it out, I can get a real good corner. You want to make sure they lay nice and flat. And I stitched all the way around at a 1/2 inch. That's my guide for pressing. So when I stitch like that, I can just fold it back to the back just a teeny bit and press it. And the same with my corners. And if I want to make sure I alleviate any extra thickness there, then I can take that and line them up like this and trim it, but not really close, just to get rid of some of the bulk. And do the same all the way around. And then, so we're pretending like this is pressed. Always take your pocket and match it up at the guide, whatever way you use to mark where it's going. And I just check and make sure that it's laying in place correct. I always turn it under and pin the top. Always pin my corner, my middle, my corners, so I know everything is laying around. Lining up correctly and is secure. So here, some people top stitch across here. If I didn't have a pocket flap going on there, then I would stitch across there. All right, you can look on your shirt. It's a stitch across there on that pocket because there's no pocket flap. So that way they make sure the facing stays laying down. So back stitch. Remember this is pressed. We would edge stitch it. Make sure that the corner's not hanging out on the edge. You can't see it on the front. Pin it securely. And then walk it. Walk it all the way down to the bottom. And turn. And if it's in the wrong place, you always can move it. Lift the foot up. And change your needle position where you can get it exactly where you want it at. Because we're trying to sew like a pro. And really, they don't need no pins until you get to that place. We do. So see that want to hang out? I'm going to keep tucking it underneath there so I make sure I don't sew it and have that little piece poking out. Look, tuck it underneath there with your scissors, with a straight pin, something. So you don't have to go back and try and fix it. And then we continue this all the way up. I just want to show you something different on this corner. So if you, again, didn't have a pocket flap, you might want to finish it with this little angle. They do them all kind of different ways. A couple of stitches. Count how many stitches from this end if you want to do both of them the same. And then you take it, and then they sew it back and make that little angle.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah.
So it's like cute little decorative finish, right? That's all. So it's up to you which way you want to finish it. I wouldn't do all that if I had a pocket flap. What am I doing somewhere? All right, now to do the pocket flap. How much time we got, babe? Is it telling you on there how much time I have remaining?
No, but you're at 5 minutes?
Oh, we good. They give me 15. So, again, I'm sewing this at my half-inch seam allowance because that's what the pattern called for, because the pattern is already going to be set up the way it should go. So here you can see I went over too many. Take my needle back. I want to line it up so I can keep it right at my half-inch. Now, it depends on the fabric and how much it may stretch. You may need to sew this halfway and go back to the top, sew that halfway. So we forcing the grain line to lay exactly the same. Here, take the hand needle and walk it because we want to keep that point of that pocket. And if you like on the corners, you can reverse. Do a back stitch to lock it because we do have to trim those out. So I like to take my two and line them up together like this and trim them. So I know I'm eliminating the fullness in the corner. And these you can, if you like, just trim them all the way around. So.
No, I think I'm just going to walk over there right now.
And then we would press it. I would take this and press the seam because I trimmed it so small. I'm going to press it all to one direction, sort of lay flat. And this I need to trim the corner a little closer. So if I do a stay stitch, this is my stay stitch. I want it to stay. A little less than a half, a little less than what I'm going to sew. I'm going to set up a guide. This is why I like to do a stay stitch. It's a guide. I don't have to go to the iron board and measure and press and measure and press. If I set me up a guide in the beginning, I have it, and that'll be my guideline, of course, to show me the place where I want to stitch at. So I want to measure up at least a half an inch. I'm going to flip this out to the right side. It would have been pressed. Make sure you push the corners out and they lay nice and flat. You're sewing like a pro. We want it to look professional. You want somebody to come up to you and say, oh, that's so nice. And you say, I made it. Oh, yeah, exactly. I pushed that one too far. Don't poke it through. So we'll have this pressed already. Here's my guide.
Oh.
Here's my guide.
Oh.
All right, so if I line this up and pin it in place, I have a pin somewhere.
Get a pin?
Yeah, I'm okay. And I push this back so I can get right here to the side seam. That's easier, right? And stitch right next to the stitch, right next to it. See, right on the other side of it. So it'll cover that up. And then you just pull it back and stitch it. Back stitches so it don't come loose. Then we would turn this one up. And we would turn this one in.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so, and
that
you
is
would
awesome.
press it so it lay nice and flat. Then we can go and edge and top stitch our pocket before we finished it all off. So now I'm just edge stitch because I only edge stitch the pocket. Since I don't have time to press and go through all the process, leave my needle down in place. So I can go around the entire pocket flap. Get all these threads out of the way.
Let's get that car.
I know. That'd be fun on that video, right? So after that, make sure that this is turned under, it's tucked under. Then flip it down and make sure it stays flat. So push it back just a little bit. And then edge stitch it. And then your pocket will be finished. So if it had an edge stitch and a top stitch, you would go ahead and do the edge
You know, if I was
stitch
trying
and
to
the
do this by
top
myself,
stitch. Uh-huh.
I would have to read that thing 1,000 times before I truly understood it.
And that's why some things you just need a visual.
Yeah, you do.
Not all things, some things. Sometimes when I'm knitting, I need to go and look at a video. They say do this and this and this, and I'm like, okay, I never did that before, so that really don't make sense. Because they have one that's called interlaced. I could do it if I watch it, but read it,
Yeah.
it's like
It's like foreign language.
exactly. So we'll continue this. Make sure you don't get any puckers. And if your thread is too thick, sometimes or the fabric is too thick, and sometimes I don't reverse it. I just pick it up and turn it around and stitch it again. That way I won't break my needle when I know that's thick. You know what I'm saying? Leave the needle down. Push that needle down and turn it around again. Yeah, and then you know you have it locked in place and you can keep it lined up and you won't break your needle. So sometimes you need to just take the extra steps to do that. And then that would be our pocket with our pocket flap. Make sure you clean all the threads up.
Voila.
Okay?
Okay.
Pocket with our flap.
Cool.